Hi, and welcome to today's Parent University. I'm super excited you're joining us, whether in person or after the fact. I'm Aaron Selmer, I'm Director for Instructional Technology, and I'm super excited to introduce today's topic. We're talking about the GoGuardian application that you can download for either your Apple iOS device or your Google Android device. You can go get it right now, and in a little bit I'm going to get to actually downloading it. But for now, let's give a little introduction on what the application actually is. As a district, we use the GoGuardian platform as our content filter for your student. It's what keeps them off inappropriate sites, and it also is what allows teachers to interact with your students, especially younger students, in ways that wouldn't be possible otherwise. For instance, teachers can set scenes, which means that they can push out individual tabs. They can block certain sites that students shouldn't be accessing during that class period, even if they're appropriate sites, such as perhaps a teacher wants to keep a student off YouTube for that particular class period. They have that capability to do so. As a parent, you also have this option completely for free in order to monitor your student's Chromebook usage after school hours at home. The GoGuardian app provides several things in it, including a top 5 summary of student browsing, which includes apps, extensions, documents, and websites visited. It also includes teachers' interventions, which meaning, for instance, if a teacher needed to do something to your student's screen, such as close a tab that they were on that they shouldn't have been, or interact with their computer in general. You also have a 30-day view of websites, videos, documents, apps, and extensions that your student has accessed, and an ability to block websites on school-issued devices during out-of-school hours. And lastly, you have the ability to pause internet access on school-issued devices during out-of-school hours, either on demand or at a scheduled time. Basically, this means that maybe 10 o'clock rolls around and you don't want your student on the computer anymore. You can go ahead and completely shut off the internet access through the application. It's pretty slick. It's very user-friendly, and I'm going to walk you through how to use it in a little bit. Before I do that, though, I just want to point out again that this is only on district-provided devices. So, for instance, if your student is doing homework on a device that isn't a Chromebook, that means that you would not have insight into what they're doing on the GoGuardian app. The GoGuardian app is only going to have influence on student devices, and it only allows you to influence student devices outside of school hours. This means that what the district sets is going to be the priority for the district or for the student's computer, but anytime after that, the application is going to follow the settings that you have put in place. But you don't have the ability to override the district's settings on a district-provided device. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to jump and I'm going to do a screen capture on my phone, and we're going to walk through this so you can see all the neat features. I use an Apple iPhone, but like I said, this will also work on an Android device too. Some steps might look a little different, but in general, the app's going to be pretty darn similar. So without further ado, let's get going on my phone's screen capture. Okay, so this is my home screen, and I'm going to go to the App Store right now. So like I said, I'm with you. I'm doing this from start to finish with you. And I'm going to search GoGuardian Parent App. Look at that. It was one of the first things that popped up. And if we scroll down, we see GoGuardian Parent App, and I'm going to select Get. I'm going to go ahead and authorize my phone to download. That little chime lets me know that it's doing its thing. It's downloading currently. So we're going to wait for it to download, and then I'm just going to click Open. At this point, we have to enter your email for authentication. Now, this is a really important point that I'm going to point out. It says the email must match a registered Guardian domain. This means that you need to have the email that you're using on record with the district for your student. If you enter in an email that isn't associated with your student already, it's going to give an error message. The best way to solve this is to just reach out at support@epcusd401.org. and they're going to be able to assist you. Okay, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and enter my email address in here because I've been associated with a sample student already as a user. So it's telling me to check the link in my email to log in. Oh, and we see that that popped up in my email. So I'm going to go ahead and open the email that I just received. And I have a code. I'm going to copy that. But let's also click verify email. And it's that simple. I didn't even need the code. I clicked it and it opened up in the GoGuardian app. Now we'll see that it has a user agreement. Yeah, I have to scroll through all of this legalese. I click the box and I say, I agree. Now this is really cool. What I'm looking at here is the dashboard already. I didn't have to set anything up. I literally entered in my email and it pulled this up. Really slick. So right now I see Michael Taylor. Michael Taylor isn't a real student. I don't have to worry about, blocking any of this off. This is a sample student we use as a district to go through and look at demos and look at how it interacts with everything. So when we look at the top, you also have the drop-down menu. So if you had multiple students associated with your email, it would give you that option. Next, we have these tabs. Right underneath that, we have the last 30 days, 2 weeks, 1 week, and last day. So depending on what you want to do, you can filter, depending on the time length that they've been done. Under here, you would also have top 5 documents. So it would be the most visited Google Docs. It can be secured and inaccessible based on Google Drive permission settings. So this would be, for example, if your student had a locked document, but you could at least see, if they say they're working on a paper on the Battle of Hastings, you could go ahead and check to make sure that that's actually what they're doing. You also have the top 5 apps and extensions. And if we click this little icon, it's going to say it's the most downloaded and installed apps and extensions. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now here's also then where we get teacher interventions. We have the number of times the teacher have locked the student's device, the number of times they've manually closed tabs on the student device, the number of times teacher has opened tabs on the student device, and the number of times teachers have manually unlocked the student's device. So you can go ahead and peruse those and you can see instances that teachers needed to step in and do an intervention with your student on their device. So this is the dashboard. It's pretty slick. It gives you just kind of a little idea what's going on. But you also have some more options at the very bottom. So if we go to activity, we can go ahead and actually see the time that the student has done different things. And this allows you to go through and it can see, at 11:46 a.m. on Thursday, October 8th, the student was on Gmail for 25 seconds. 10:40, they were on for 9 minutes and 51 seconds. So they were on Think Central, they were on a Google Meet. You can go ahead and browse their history again on their district provided device. You also have filters. So you would add a website to block student access. So for instance, you can say add a website and it would add it as a blocked website. An example of this might be like YouTube. This could be a setting that you want to block at home. If your student's not doing homework and you want to be like, hey, knock it off, get back to that Battle of Hastings paper, 1066, William the Conqueror. I was a social studies teacher. So you can go ahead and do it that way too. And then here too, you also have the time limit, which might be something that could be incredibly useful. You want the Chromebook to just shut off at a certain time. You want your student to go to sleep. You want them to have reading time, wind down, etc. You want to get them away from blue light. I get it. So this is where you would do it. You can go ahead and even just pause the internet. You can just click pause by a certain time period or for the entire day too. So maybe they're working on homework. They're like, oh, I have one last paragraph to write. And they've been saying that for the last 40 minutes. And meanwhile, dinner's getting cold. Boom. Pause it for 60 minutes. Your student's going to come join you for dinner. You're going to have some good, steak. Why not? And then it's going to unlock 60 minutes later and they can continue on that. Okay, so let's do another thing too. So you have an ad schedule, right? So you have a start time and you have an end time. Basically what this is going to do is it's going to pause between that certain period of time. So you can't, the way the application is, you can't set up the time. How can I say this? You can't do an overnight setup. So for example here, if we go back here and we want to say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, start time 9 p.m., end time 11 p.m. This is the pause time. So that means it's going to pause the internet at 9 and it's going to unpause it at 11. It's a little, in my opinion, it's not super intuitive because actually what we get here is that It may be more realistic that what you want to do is you actually want it to start at 9 p.m. and you want it to end at, like, let's say 5 a.m. because maybe they're getting up early to do some homework, but you want them at least to go to sleep. You don't want them up super late. So I can't say start time 9 p.m. and I can't say then end time 5 a.m. See, watch, it's going to throw up an error. It said must be after start time because it's converting that into, like, it's confusing it. So another option you actually have is to say like 11:55 p.m. for example, right? So now it's creating that schedule, and then you could actually do that again, and this is where, you know, I wish it corrected itself, right? But we could say 12 a.m. and then we can extend that then to 5 a.m. Okay, so now that entire time period scheduled minus those 5 minutes between 11:55 p.m. and 12 a.m. So that would be an example if you wanted to pause the internet overnight. That's what it would look like, for example. So if you don't even want to bother with the schedule and you just want to do it manually, just click the pause button and it'll auto initiate for the student. And the last option we have here is settings. Not a whole lot of information we have here, but it does give you the option that I wanted to point out that says learn more about the parent app. So very intuitive. I have a little document that I'm going to try posting in a card on YouTube. So it should be popping up at some point on the screen right here that you can go ahead and click and find more information. But I hope this was super helpful. This is a feature, again, you don't have to pay for. It's because the district has GoGuardian already on the students. You just go ahead, download the app, and get going. If you have any questions, as always, please reach out to me. Again, my name is Aaron Selmer. You can reach me at Selmer, CELMERA, at epcusd401.org. I'm happy to assist with anything, and if I can't assist, I will definitely put you in the right direction to get your questions answered. Thank you again for joining Parent University, and we look forward to our next session. Bye.